Yes.
Okay. All right. So, are we here? Okay. So we are looking at the benefits of endurance, benefits of endurance. So we've covered that. What endurance does is that it builds the character. Okay, it builds the character, and I like the way it builds it, but then also on the other hand, it kind of like keeps it. Like whatever we go through, we just keep applying that character that has been built in us, and just keep moving. But the second point here is that endurance, endurance kind of like builds this. In other words, it causes us to be mature. It's what causes you to grow, spiritually speaking. You know? In other words, when we say someone has the ability to endure something, we are, on the other hand, we are saying that this person is mature. They can handle the situation. Have you heard people say that this one can handle the situation, the other one cannot handle the situation? That's how it is. That's the spiritual maturity. Okay? So it helps us. Endurance helps us to grow spiritually. And of course, as I said in the first class, as spirituality or spiritual maturity is that someone is stable, spiritually speaking. People that are unstable have not grown at all spiritually. They are just shallow. They are not deep. Okay? They are not deep when it comes to spiritual maturity. But how does endurance produce this maturity in us? It helps us find purpose in life. Okay? It's endurance that helps you to really find the whole purpose in life. When you go through a trial, one of the things that you are trying to look for is, what is the whole purpose of this? Okay? And we know there is a primary purpose. The primary purpose is that we are to be transformed. We are to be changed. That's the character building into the image of Jesus Christ. Primarily, that's how it is. So in other words, whatever comes in, and basing on that plan, basing on that purpose, I can endure anything that comes. So it helps us find that purpose in life. And number 3, it helps us to have hope. It helps us to have hope. Hope is expectation, you know, and it's about future. When we talk about, you see, faith is about present. Faith is about present. How am I believing God today? Something has happened to me today. So how am I walking with Him? Okay, I'm walking with God by faith. Okay, today. But when it comes to future, then there comes this word hope. Hope deals so much with the future. You know, expectation. I expect God to move in my life next year. I expect God to move in my family. I expect, that's, in other words, that's future. And so what endurance does is that it builds that in you. It builds that in you where you have this expectation. Okay? People that don't have endurance are struggling with hope. They struggle with hope. And again, on the other hand, that's why people quit Christianity. They quit Christianity because they don't have expectation. When it comes to future, they think they are done. You know? So, but endurance helps us that. It leads us to hope. It leads us to hope. It leads us to that expectation. And not only that, but also reveals our character and the strength that we have. That's the other thing. Endurance reveals the character and also reveals the strength, spiritual strength that you have. And that's good. Because sometimes, how do you know you are strong spiritually? How do you know? You can only know that you are strong spiritually if something happens to you and then you see the endurance you have to go through it. Then you can sit down and say, yeah, spiritual I'm strong. Spiritual I'm strong. So that's what endurance does. What else does endurance do? It helps us receive God's promises. It's what helps us to receive God's promises. Okay? God has promised. How do I receive that promise? Through what? Endurance. If I'm not going to endure, there are a lot of people that it is so difficult, and God has promised, but then you look at that, hasn't He promised He's with you? And sometimes we say, that's why I say spiritual alertness. Everyone will say God is with them. But how many children of God really believe indeed God is with them? Because if they know that God, if really they are aware of that God is with them, then they shouldn't be running away. They shouldn't quit their calling. They shouldn't quit their gift. Okay? So, the promises. Abraham, it says, how did Abraham receive the promise? He endured. He endured. How did Jesus Christ receive the promise of saving us? The Bible says He endured the cross. It was spiritual endurance. He endured the cross. And then what was promised to Him to save us, He got. Everything that God has promised in your life, you will receive them because you are practicing that endurance. You're waiting upon God. So endurance is very important when it comes to promises. And again, there are people that say, when you promise, have you ever promised someone and someone keeps on calling you, or they want to hold you accountable for what you have promised? Has that ever happened to you?
Yeah.
Like you promise something, it's like you have, it's like, olinga akoze omusango when you promise someone. This is what I usually tell people. If we promise things, it's up to that individual to fulfill in their own timing. Okay? That's how it is. If I promise you something, you let me fulfill. Give me time to fulfill it. But I can't promise you and then next day, then you are calling me. Yeah, but you promised me this. And then after that, after 1 month, then you call again. But you promised me this. And then the year hasn't ended. You call me like 6 times. And you're saying, but you promised. Yeah, I did. I am the one who did it. So give me time. When time comes, then I can do what? I can fulfill. God has promised. How many people call Him all the time and say, hey, God, hey, you are delaying. Do we do that? No, we don't. Why? Because when it comes to timing or fulfillment of the promise, it's about the promiser, someone who has promised. And this is also so much common in you. No one here is married, but it is so common in marriages, So, but when you endure, for example, your husband promises you something, don't mind about that. Keep doing what you are supposed to do and endure, and you will see. I know us men, we forget, and we need to be reminded. That's good. But you can't remind me every week. That means you have a problem. But sometimes we want to remind God. God is all-knowing. He knows He promised. And He will fulfill. But all that He wants, when God promises, all that He's looking for is your endurance. Okay? And then he will fulfill. He did it with Abraham, he did it with David, he did it with... You go into the Bible, you'll find great examples of that. So what else does endurance bring? Endurance brings what we call, it causes us to receive the crown of life. Crown of life. Okay? Which was promised for those that love God. Crown is a crown of life. Okay? That's what endurance does. Endurance. Okay? Endurance. There is a crown of life that will be given to those that love God. But it is promised to those that will endure. Those that endure. Things that happen, and then you do what? You endure. Huh? You endure. And when you endure, then there is that crown of life that will come. Okay? It's that crown of life. Number 6. What else does endurance do? It's what causes me to remain true to the faith. Okay? It's what helps us to remain true to the faith. And to all what we may say spiritual principles, all of them. They are spiritual principles that we have. Spiritual principles like what? I'm going to church every Sunday. In the morning, in the evening, on Wednesday, I'm going to church. Spiritual principles. Okay? Spiritual principles. And endurance helps me to keep that. I endure. You know? I have told you there are several people that you will see them Sunday morning, then Sunday evening, they are not there, then others Wednesday, then... There is no... We said endurance is about constance. They are not consistent at all. Endurance causes you to be consistent. Okay? Causes you to be consistent. So remain true to the what? To the faith. Remain true to the faith. And then, number 7. It's what causes us to keep receiving the peace of God. Endurance. Endurance helps you to have this inward peace. Okay? Someone who endures the circumstances and the situations, if you endure them, one thing that people will see about you is that there is that peace that passes all understanding. There is that peace. The problem that we have is that with the people that don't endure, they are peaceless. They don't have peace. They are restless. Today they are here. I was talking to someone recently, and they were telling me to buy another car. They were kind of like saying, Pastor Sam, maybe this car, how about if you buy another one? I said, us, we don't change because of change. You know? We don't change because of what? We don't change like that. But I understand those who are in their 20s, those who are in their mid-20s, around 30s, boy, they can change. They think life is about changing. You know, like today they buy this dress. Within 2 days, they put it on a shelf. They buy another one. They buy this shirt. They haven't gone even 1 week. They want to buy another one, buy pairs of shoes. They changing all the time. But you bought this recent. Yeah, it doesn't matter. That was for the birthday. So now, okay, birthday for, if you have in a family 5 birthdays in Feb, some people tend to buy 5 dresses in that whole month. Changing. But you bought one. Yeah, but that was for John's birthday. Another one comes in. Jane is it Feb? Yeah. Buys another one. I can't go with what I put on the other time. I need to put on a new one. And it is a new one all the time. But that's how their mind works. Their mind works with what? Changes. It's changing. So someone was telling me that. I said, I have passed that. I have passed where, like, you have to, someone buys a car, and then after 3 months and something like that, then they buy another one, sell the other one, buy another one, then they, after 3 months, then buy another one, and then sell another one, and just like that. All cars smell the same thing. All of them. Huh? They smell the same thing. All cars have the same tires. But someone just get tired because it is the same car, but it is doing well. But someone gets tired of that because for them they are consumed with changes. And you know what that does? In relationships, those are the people that also change all the time. They change all the time. Today is with the other one, and then after 1 month, he's like, I'm tired with that one. I get another one. And then you're tired with that one. Then you get another one. Because change is, like it's what they think that's life. What happened? And so, a lot of people are just like that. And they are peaceless. In other words, there is no resting. They can't rest. Okay? They cannot rest. And when someone is not resting inwardly, they cannot experience the peace of God. Okay? They can't experience the peace of God. But endurance causes us to receive that peace of God all the time. I can endure. Whatever I am in, I can endure. What did Apostle Paul say? With raiment and food, I'm okay. I'm contented with that. That's peace right there. Peace of God that passes all understanding. Passes all understanding. And that is important. And then number 7, the last one, is number 7 or 8? 8. Endurance is what helps us to keep receiving the grace of God. Okay? It helps you to receive, to access the grace of God. Endurance helps you to keep accessing it. You see, accessing the grace of God is not a one-time thing. It's a consistent thing. You keep receiving the grace. You keep accessing the grace of God. Hebrews chapter 4, verse 16. What does it say? Going boldly. You keep coming to where? To the throne of grace. You keep coming to the throne of grace. To do what? To get what? To get that grace, to obtain grace. You keep doing that. And that requires endurance. That requires endurance. There are people that will end it right there. They can't keep boldly, confidently. They can't keep going to where? To the throne. They can't keep doing that. And so this is very, very important, what endurance does. And so Apostle Paul is saying to Timothy, he said, this is very, very important. Endurance is very important. In your life, endurance is very important, as it was in the life of Timothy. Okay? So, in life, you can't move on with the life outside of it. Okay? You can't. You need that ability. You need that spiritual ability to keep there. Okay? To keep going forward. When God called the children of Israel from Egypt, one of the things that he was building in them was endurance. That's why he could make them walk. That's why he could lead them to the Red Sea. Okay? That's why for 40 years, he made them to move around the wilderness. 40 years moving in the wilderness. What happens in there? What was he building in there to another generation? The first generation, all of them died, apart from 2. But the other one that came from Egypt, all of them died in the wilderness. Most of them, I will say that. And there was that generation, another generation. But that generation had learned that endurance. And they were able to go into the promised land. Okay? They went to the promised land. But then with what? With endurance. So they could endure whatever was going to happen to them in that land. So endurance is very key. When the church was beginning in Acts, that word endurance was a common word, was a key word for the church. Okay? It was key. Why? Because there was persecution. There was a lot of things going on. They were being persecuted. There was famine. There was pestilence that we talk about, like the epidemics that are taking place. What happened recently? What was that? COVID? Yes. Have you heard there is another one coming? These people are determined to finish us. And we seem to be like, okay. It's amazing that the world gets to know that the people that are behind killing people with these vaccines are people like Bill Gates. And no one is doing anything to them. You know why? Because he's connected to the people that would have done something to him. And all of them have agreed. Do you know, even here in Uganda, that when you ask the government, they are worried about our population. They will say we are growing so fast. And what is the solution? They say we are growing so fast, and if we are growing so fast, then we are going to have a lot of people that don't have a job. And if we have a lot of young people that don't have a job, then those who have money and companies and factories are in danger. You see, that's how they think. You don't know that, but that's how they think. Because they have made wealth and riches for their own children and grandchildren. And for you in the ghetto, you are a threat. So what will they do? When vaccines come and all of this stuff happens, they will say, push it into the ghetto. And that's what exactly is happening. They bring a sickness and everyone is scared, and when you are scared, then they say, this is the solution, and everyone runs to what they call the solution, and they destroy people just like that. And their children are not immunized. You tell me where you have seen their children go to any clinic for immunization. Have you ever had anyone? Have you ever heard anyone talk about it? About this display they make there, they come and then inject them. They put water. They can put even water for them there, and you think they have injected them when they have not. And you also go as a sheep to the slaughter. You go and be slaughtered. But we are saying these things were there. Not caused by human beings. These ones, you read Romans chapter 8, you can see that. They were naturally they were caused. Okay? Pestilence, other things that would, because people during that time, it was not clear what they should eat, what they shouldn't eat, how you should cook, what you should cook, how you should cook it, and stuff like that. So people would, like Ebola and stuff, other stuff like that would happen. Okay? So there were a lot of things for them to do what? To endure. It's one thing to have a government persecuting you and running away. But then it's another. The government persecutes you, but then there is also an epidemic somewhere. There is Ebola. And then, on another hand, then there is Ebola, but then there is also famine. Like COVID-19 came, but one of the things that people are lacking is what? Is food. And how do you get food? So you add those three. The government is persecuting you. COVID-19 comes and there is no food. Now you know what endurance is. That's how these people, that's how it was with them. That's why we say sometimes in Uganda we are lucky because we have food. But there are places where there is no food. Where people just eat bread. In Sudan, you heard about Sudan. They changed the government because of one reason. Because the government there put some small money on bread. Because that's what they eat. And they said, no, we cannot afford that. They changed the government. So that's what I'm saying, endurance. Endurance. But here in Uganda, that's why I'm saying sometimes you look at it and then you say, what to endure? School fees. What is there to really endure that much? Maybe when someone is sick, you can imagine Ugandans will come to you and say, you pray for me, I have flu. Just flu. And cough. Not even a strong one, but, and that is, they take that to be something serious, something like, this is so serious, And they will say, I'm enduring flu. That's a small thing. You don't know what people are enduring. If you talk about things like cancer, then you understand, where your life is in danger. And someone endure that, as they go through the medication and all of that. That's what we are talking about. Something that threatens your life. Have you ever experienced anything in your life that threatens your life? That's something, Your life is in danger. And you have to endure that, You have to endure that. So, so all of us, we need that ability to continue in the faith that we have. We need that ability, ability to move forward. And again, Apostle Paul is saying to Timothy, he said, Timothy, I want to thank you, number one, for your faith. You are kind of like stable. The things that we are going through in the ministry right now, I see you still believing God. I see you still moving on with God. He said, I want to thank you for that. But then he reminds him, he says, but there is something that is going to happen. Maybe more than that. And you need still what? Endurance. You need endurance. Okay? So that's it. So that's the introduction of this class. Any question about it? Okay, so just make a group. Just do 2 groups and discuss about what you yourself have learned from endurance. And then we are going to ask each one to share. Jane Black, join the other group. Jovia, come here in this group here. I didn't say you go outside. Okay? So discuss. You have 5 minutes to discuss that. And then the other minutes, then people just to say. Okay? Did you get the question? You got the question? So each one just share. Like, what have you learned about endurance? 5 minutes. Then after 5 minutes, then we begin to ask. This one maybe you need to, this one here.